What a Strange Little Colt. Written by Linwood. Chapter 9. Leaps and Bounds, Part 3.
Oh, hey, Twa.
Applejack said, giving her a quick nod before looking back at the trebuchet, still a little dumbfounded. Twilight paid her very little mind, trotting up towards the tree as she wiped the sweat from her brow. The duo had been combing the fields all day. It was the work of a mad pony, a tree that had been fitted with structural support and a counterweight, all held together by, at best, questionable carpentry and a heavy helping of nails and ropes, an arboreal siege weapon. Holy Celestia, Looking Glass said from beside her. The unicorn mare huffed.
No kidding.
Twilight, did you see that? Did you like it? Huh?
Apple Bloom rushed up to the purple unicorn, her eyes wide and sparkling. Scootaloo was not far behind.
Oh, Twilight, you should have seen it. It was amazing. You must have thrown that rock across the Everfree. Whoa!
She buzzed off, too full of excited energy.
Let's do it again.
Now, wait. Hold on now, Sugar Cube.
And you all designed this?
Twilight boggled.
Yeah.
Said Sweetie Belle, puffing out her chest, and her eyes widened. She quickly checked her flank.
Aww.
My goodness. Is that a counterweight? Looking Glass said.
Yeah, it was Gabe's idea.
Sweetie pointed a hoof at the little green colt, who gave Twilight a wave. She offered a confused, hesitant wave back, and then Sweetie Belle looked back to Looking.
Also, who the heck are you?
Sweetie Belle,
AJ said, apparently summoned from her stupor by bad manners.
that is not how we greet new ponies.
Sorry.
The filly muttered. Oh, it's quite all right. I'm from Canterlot, and I'm just visiting for some business with Miss Sparkle. My name is Looking Glass.
Oh, that's pretty cool, I guess. The tact of young falls.
Gabe trotted up to the two and stuck out his hoof. As he walked, Twilight happily noted his lack of bandages.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Glass. I'm Gabriel.
And you as well. The black and white pony responded, bumping the offered hoof. That's quite an exotic name.
I'm not from around here.
Gabe smiled. Twilight's breath caught. Ah, well, I trust you're enjoying Ponyville. That couldn't be right.
Oh yeah, especially when I got to build medieval weaponry out of a tree.
That absolutely, positively couldn't be right. Yes, I can see that. Clever use of leverage. Twilight saw, in his gaze, a sharp, gruesome pain. His eyes spoke not just of terrible hurt and bitter, lonesome grief, but also deep, vengeful wrath. It felt like a tendril made of something very cold and very dark wrapped around her heart.
Thanks. It took a lot of fiddling to get the weight to length ratio right.
A strange arrival a week ago. Mysterious, unknown, odd name, weird habits similar to those of a normal's foal, but not quite. And a forest green coat. It lined up far too perfectly. Twilight Sparkle, star pupil of Princess Celestia, valiantly battled losing her lunch right there on the grassy hill.
Twilight? You good?
The unicorn blinked herself back to the present. The colt was standing in front of her, giving her a concerned look.
You look like you're about to puke.
She gulped and let out a nervous chuckle.
Why wouldn't I be? I mean, why would I be? I'm fine. Completely fine.
She pointedly ignored Applejack's judgmental look.
Well, we better get going, right, Looking? We've got a lot of ground to cover, right?
The other unicorn's eyes darted around. Yes, I suppose we do.
Well, then come on, Slowpoke.
Twilight motioned with wide eyes.
We'd better get moving.
All right.
Well, you heard the stallion. Bye, Applejack. Bye, kids.
She waved like she was trying to smack a fly out of the air and hooked a foreleg around Looking Glass's neck. Bye. Nice meeting you. The stallion waved to the group of the confused foals and a very overwhelmed mare. Once they were out of earshot, Twilight stopped dragging the candlelight unicorn, much to his relief. Oof, he said, rubbing his neck with a hoof. All right, Sparkle, what's going on?
I think it's the Colt.
He tilted his head, flopping his jet black mane to the side and locking that golden stare on her. You think... what's the Colt?
That aura. The subject of the soul spell. I think it's that Colt Gabriel.
Looking at his eyebrows met and he frowned. Twilight, I appreciate your eagerness to help me solve my case, but I don't think a unique name is grounds to...
He showed up last week.
She interrupted.
Out of nowhere. He has no known family. He wasn't in the ministry's registers. It's like the universe just plopped him right here on the edge of Ponyville. That's not even mentioning the feather. You saw his coat color.
But the caster had to have been a unicorn.
Yes.
Twilight said.
But the subject of the spell could have been any pony.
His eyes went wide. You don't mean...
I think some pony may have tried to use a fall to do soul magic, and this is the result.
The stallion's jaw fell open and he held his head with a hoof. How could some pony do such a thing? It's... Twilight swallowed.
Unspeakably, awfully, deeply evil. Somebody could have ripped out a little Colt's soul.
But if that's the case, looking glass at her with equally terrified gaze, then what is in that Colt right now? Twilight tried to think of some theory, some explanation to quell the maelstrom of thoughts and worries bogging her mind, and she looked up at the brilliant blue sky. She failed.
What do we do? Hey, what y'all craving on this hot, dry day? I'll have vanilla.
Sweetie Belle smiled her cutest smile up at the ice cream mare. She nodded and glanced up to the other foals.
Chocolate.
Scootle hopped from one hoof to hoof with a big smile on her face.
Peanut butter.
Apple Bloom said thoughtfully.
You guys have any cookie dough?
Asked Gabe. Scootle wrinkled her muzzle.
What the hey are you talking about, you weirdo? Yeah, why would I have any cookie dough?
The ice cream man nodded as she adjusted her cart's umbrella, reminding Sweetie exactly why the fillies had begged Applejack to get them ice cream.
Mystery heat is killing me. You've never heard of cookie dough ice cream?
Nicole asked, looking incredulous.
No.
The mare frowned. Her horn lit up, and ice cream scooper hovered its way off the brightly colored ice cream cart, disappearing behind its countertop.
Is that some kind of fancy schmancy new flavor from Canterlot? Lady, I've never even been to Canterlot.
Gabe shook his head.
It's where you put little bits of cookie dough in with the ice cream, and you get to run into these little sugary treasures as you go. It's awesome.
The mare raised an eyebrow and put her hoof to her chin.
Now there's an idea. Anyway, I guess I'll just take a vanilla one. Thanks.
He glanced over his shoulder.
Applejack?
No thanks,
The farmer said, shooting a disapproving look towards Apple Bloom's way.
we're gonna be having supper in an hour.
Her sister examined the underside of the ice cream cart's colorful umbrella with a remarkable intensity.
See yourself. Thanks for the ice cream, by the way.
Tootie Heads jumped up with a blush.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Applejack.
The other fillies echoed her.
Wow, it sure is a good thing Rarity isn't here. She'd have my hide forgetting to say thank you.
She shivered as she imagined the scale of the talking to she evaded by sheer luck. The ice cream was a perfect idea. Thanks, Scoots. And the five made their way to one of the market street tables to relax and enjoy their sweet, satisfying treat. Sweetie hummed as she began to work on her cone.
How does anybody ever get anything but vanilla? It's just so good.
School buzzed and bumped around in her seat, taking bites of her own ice cream.
That was so freaking cool.
She said through a chocolatey grin.
I bet we sent the rock past the castle.
Apple Bloom giggled.
We built that launcher so well it's downright scary.
Nah,
Gabe hummed.
ridiculously awesome, definitely, but not scary. What's terrifying about throwing rocks?
Well, for one, y'all could have put a hole in some pony's home.
Applejack rebuked with a raised eyebrow and half-lidded eyes.
Or some pony.
Okay, granted. I don't want to hurt any pony, but that's why we shot it at the forest. Oh, yeah?
Scooter leaned into the table with a chocolate-stained hoof.
What if we hit Zakara's house? What? The zebra?
Gabe shrugged.
I'd have to go and apologize, I guess. You know she lives in the Everfree Forest, right?
Sweetie Belle said with a healthy dose of skepticism.
And?
Gabe smirked and raised an eyebrow.
And you have to walk through the Everfree Forest to get to a spooky shaman's tree hut.
Album snorted.
She's not that scary.
You're missing the point here.
Gabe chomped his ice cream and promptly widened his eyes.
Ooh. Now this really takes me back. Are you seriously saying you'd walk through the Everfree without a second thought?
Skulu tapped her hoof against her head.
You really are crazy.
The Colt grinned.
Is that a dare?
No pony is going into the Everfree,
groaned Applejack, a hoof over her muzzle.
Whatever. Everfree isn't scary anyways.
Skulu snorted.
Okay, tough guy. If the Everfree Forest isn't scary, then what is? Nothing around here, that's for sure. Oh yeah?
Sweetie saw a glint behind the Pegasus filly's eyes.
Oh yeah.
Skulu straightened up with a victorious smirk in her face and jabbed a hoof at the market.
If you're really not scared of anything in Ponyville, then you'll go ask one of the spot ponies on a date.
She then shoved the remains of her ice cream cone into her mouth. Apple Bloom began to giggle furiously behind her ice cream, and Sweetie couldn't help but to drop her jaw. The two notoriously beautiful mares stood in front of the carrot cake stand, haggling from the looks of it. Gabe, amazingly, seemed to hesitate just the tiniest bit. He has to turn this one down, right?
Oh yeah, Aloe and what's-her-face. What do I get if I win?
Huh? Scootaloo swallow,
Applejack said, starting to sound really tired. She produced an audible gulp and wrinkled her muzzle. The orange filly looked around, then looked down to her less than unstained hoof.
A friendly hoof bump?
She said as she rubbed the worst of the chocolate off her chest. Applejack groaned.
Well, it better be the friendliest hoof bump I'll ever get.
And just like that, he passed an incredulous AJ his ice cream and hopped out of his chair.
Oh, no way.
Skulu muttered. The fillies huddled together and watched as the Colt strode right up to the spa ponies. The Friday afternoon bustle claimed their words, but they saw the mares talk to Gabe for much, much longer than they took to turn down a Colt, at least according to Rarity. He motioned with a hoof, and they pointed at his side. He struck a pose and grinned as Lotus looked a little sick. Then the three even began to laugh. What was he saying? Sweetie Belle felt her face grow a little hotter and her heart beat a little faster.
They'd never go on a date with a little colt like him, would they?
After what seemed like a million years, Gabe smiled and gave them a big wave, which they returned, and trotted back to the table, a pleased grin plastered across his stupid face.
So,
he said, hopping back onto his chair.
This had better been a really good hoof bump. What?
Skulu dragged her hooves through her mane and streaked it with chocolate and dirt.
What did they say?
Yeah, spill it.
Applebloom and Applejack spoke at the exact same time and stared at each other. The former stuck out her tongue.
Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to go on a date with Lotus tomorrow. Now, about your end of the deal. What?
Sweetie Belle shrieked the moment her brain confirmed that, yes, she had heard him correctly.
Are you kidding me?
There were so many emotions swirling inside her that she didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or spontaneously combust. Gabe burst out laughing and shaking his head.
Holy hell, I really had you guys all going, huh?
He wiped a tear from his eyes.
No, I'm just messing with you. They said come back and ask again in 6 years, but until then, I was welcome to the spa any time. I'll take that back now, Applejack.
Sweetie crossed her forelegs and channeled Rarity as hard as she could, fixing the most venomous stare and giggling Colt.
Ha ha, very funny. Thank you. I certainly do try my very hardest.
He chuckled as Sweetie harumphed, then slumped even further into her chair. Then the Colt slurped the last of his ice cream out from the bottom of his cone, which he shoved directly into his mouth, a la Scootaloo. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Now then, Scoots, he said after swallowing and fixing his eye on the still gaping filly.
There's my prize. I had better be impressed. Oh, you'll be impressed,
Scootaloo replied, replacing her open mouth with a devious grin.
You're not going to be ready for the pure friendship this hoof pump is going to contain. Oh, yeah? Yeah, I don't know if you can handle it,
she added.
Maybe you should back off.
I'll die before I turn down something that friendly. Scootaloo's grin only widened as she rolled her shoulder, stretching out her foreleg.
Well, don't say I didn't warn ya.
The colt slapped his hoofs together.
Bring it on.
Applejack groaned and tucked her hat down over her face. Rainbow Dash's wings ached as she came in for a shivery landing beneath the Sweet Apple Acres front gate. The thunderstorm was behind schedule, and, well, sometimes her reputation as Ponyville's best flyer wasn't all fans and camera flashes. Her coat was wetter than it was when she got out of the bath, and her mane was even worse. The Pegasus ran a hoof through it and shook herself as best as her tiled muscles would allow, trying her damnedest to get the water out of her coat.
Figures they always give me Thunderhead duty. Geez, Rainbow, what happened to you?
A high voice said with a sigh.
Looks like you got put through a dishwasher.
Rainbow blinked and looked at the greenish lump on the shaded grass beneath an apple tree at a little ways away. Between the grass matching his coat near perfectly, and the sun-broken shadow moving over them both, she had to strain her eyes to pick out the colt.
Wow, when he closes his eyes, he blends the heck in,
she thought.
Celestia, he can be sneaky when he wants to. Oh, hey kiddo,
Rainbow said, exhausted dripping from her voice almost as much as the water dripped off her coat.
Sorry I'm late. You're good. I was just...
He produced a massive yawn, his mouth a pink island in the sea of green.
I was just chilling. No biggie. Good to hear.
He looked so darn comfortable lying there on the grass that she couldn't help but to want to join him. Rainbow's urge to be responsible and bring her foster son home put up a valiant but brief fight against her cruthing lethargy. Her tired legs were carrying the Pegasus over to a particularly enticing sunny patch of grass before she knew it. Gabe made an indignant noise as she shook her mane and flopped down, sticking his head up.
Gah, wet.
Rainbow chuckled.
Yep.
Oh, Celestia, it felt good to finally lie down and take a load off.
Hope you don't mind if I lay here for a bit.
Mm-hmm. He lay his head back down on the grass.
Fine with me. So,
He said, getting comfortable.
how was your little hangout with the fillies? It was pretty good. My hoof fucking kills, though.
Rainbow grinned.
Foals always hurt themselves screwing around. What happened to it? A friendly hoof bump.
He said as if that was a perfectly reasonable explanation. The deadpan absurdity was too much, and Rainbow let out a laugh.
Happens to the best of us, kid. Remind me to tell you the story about my LA race sometime.
Rainbow let the sunlight gradually warm her up and listened to the gentle rustling of the trees. The day was the perfect temperature to warm up a cold, wet Pegasus, and pleasantly coincidentally, the perfect day for a nap.
Wait,
She thought, opening her eyes and wrinkling her muzzle.
there was something I wanted to tell him.
It took real strength to muster the energy to talk.
Hey, Gabe.
She mumbled.
Yeah?
He murmured.
I've got tomorrow off.
Rainbow said, closing her eyes again.
And I thought maybe, we could, go to the park for a little flight lesson or something, after you meet with Sandy. What do you think?
She heard the colt sigh long and deep.
No flight lessons. Not yet.
He said, his voice low. Rainbow's spirit sank a little.
But, I'd still like to hang out with you. Do you think it'd be okay if we, went to the park and just relaxed? Relaxing sounds nice. Sure, kid. That sounds perfect.
Birdsong echoed across the wind from some far-off place. The orchard rested around them. All felt right with the world. Rainbow was asleep in moments. A hoof fumbled at the doorknob and a key. An unoiled bolt groaned and slid into place. A tan and brown Pegasus let out a long, drawn-out sigh around the package in her mouth, staring vacantly with bleary eyes at her office door for a long while. Then she turned and began to plod down the hallway. As she walked, a well-loved but quickly donned pair of saddlebags chafed against her coat, rubbing its fur the wrong way with every step. She ignored it and made her way down the stairs, past the banner break room and the darkened full therapy room, and into the lobby. Once again, she found herself standing and staring at the wall. With a groan and a shake of her head, she forced her legs to move. A single buzzing light bulb cast fuzzy light and long shadows across the room and up the walls, staining the drawn curtains with wobbly shadows. The air was oppressively quiet, and the Pegasus only had her hoofsteps and her tired breathing for company. She hobbled to the front desk and stuck out her neck, dropping the package in a sad-looking wire basket sloppily labeled Outgoing Mail, with construction paper and marker, and the last element on the day's mental to-do list finally got crossed off. The mayor gave her package's postage a last look just to make sure. Yes, the address was correct. The Equestria Ministry of Public Health and Family Services, Candlelight Office. The report had taken hours to write, because its subject was not an easily described pony. The mayor had made sure to make the situation absolutely clear, and to make a request for additional support in a royal investigation into the possible trafficking operation in the north even more so. To be perfectly honest, she was having a harder and harder time believing the theory. But if there was even a chance other foals were in the same situation, she had an obligation to do something about it. Besides, she didn't have a better explanation. With any luck, she'd hear back from them within a month. With a great deal more, they might even believe her.
Woof.
She thought as she rubbed the side of her head.
I'll get to those FOSS request letters tomorrow.
Sandy Hills pushed open the front door and walked out into the cool night air, taking a deep breath through her nose and blowing it out in a long, drawn-out whistle. Nearly all of her worry and stress melted off of her, and she began to walk home. The streets were empty, the windows were darkened. Luna's night sky was out in all its brilliance. The quiet journey home was the perfect opportunity for the last remaining worry, the last remaining doubt to worm its way out of the back of her skull and fill her mind, reminding her that, after an exhaustive registry search, a frustrating discussion with a coworker, and a visit to the local cartographer, she had learned a rather worrisome fact. One that threatened to cast into doubt everything that a certain little Colt had told her. There was no known town named Westfield. The scroll flexed once before neatly unrolling itself. Princess Celestia's aching eyes flicked over its surface as the eyebrows drew together. Then it followed her out of her bedroom, down the stairs, and into her chamber's door, pulling beside her head as she ordered a guard to fetch her sister as quickly as possible. Luna arrived later than she expected.
Must be a busy night, Court.
Her face was worn and gaunt with concern, but focused as she closed the massive chamber door right behind her glimmering starlit tail.
It's floating even lower. A very busy night, Court, then. What is it, sister? Another request for me to mingle with our little ponies? News,
Celestia stated. She flowed the letter to her sister, and she read it in a moment. Her eyes grew wide.
They found the interloper.
She nodded.
She is brief, but it would appear that a pony, no doubt. Twilight seems unsure of her next step.
Luna sighed.
We must apprehend it right away. There isn't much time to waste.
She stopped, breathing deeply, then turned a quizzical eye on her sister.
The guard, then.
Celestia pursed her lips, reading the letter.
I am hesitant. I would be confident in Twilight and her friends. They have faced monsters before. But this? They may not be prepared to take it head-on, and I fear a platoon would only hasten the issue.
She rubbed her chin.
Perhaps if we... Sister?
Luna stared at the floor with a lowered head, her hooves a step further apart than they should have been. She breathed deeply as if she had just landed from a vigorous flight. Their eyes met.
Worry not, sister. I am quite alright.
She paused again to breathe.
These bouts are merely... I do not...
Her eyes grew wide and her gasp deepened. Celestia could only stare as her sister took another toiled breath and dropped to the ground, struggling for air. Wow, that's one hell of a cliffhanger to leave us on, and also I'm really digging these perspective switches as we go throughout the day. It's really, I don't know, it's just really interesting to see what everyone's doing at the same time. Gabriel and Rainbow Dash are laying down basically. Sandy Hills is digging more into the Colt, and Twilight and Looking Glass have found a disturbing secret. At the same time, we also see the effects that's happening to Luna and what's going on with Celestia's side. It's something a lot of stories don't implement, mainly because it's really difficult to do multiple perspectives without it getting jarring. But I think the author did an amazing job on this one. What do you guys think? However, what aren't jarring, or what is jarring because it's far too kind, are my lovely Patreons. Thank you, my Tier 1 Patreons: Chase Lemaster, Jason, Squall, Windfeather, Lunar Gaze, 8th Day of Night, Starlight Blaze, Hyperlink, Nightingale, Rain Flicker, Redeemer of Dark, and Dreamless Portal. My Tier 2s: Captain Blueshadow, The Animated Ghost, HK84, aka Texture, Swordbrother and Mordred, Nocturne, DJMX 2000, Papa Lennon, and Can Panzer. And of course a large thank you to my Titan tiers: User 1842, Dark Guardian, Danish Dash, Maverick, and Silent Titan. I appreciate every single one of your guys' support, and it means a ton to me. That aside, however, this has been Firehearth. Have a wonderful day.